Welcome back to Street Level Marketing with your host, Mark Lamplugh. I'm here with Joanna from Good Eggs and Company. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about, what's coming up in the future. There's so many changes going on in the world of marketing. It's almost hard to keep up.
Yeah.
Joanna, what are some of the trends in content marketing that you're most excited about right now?
So one of the things that we're really deep in right now, and I wouldn't say it's so new, but I guess there's a newfound appreciation for it, is thought leadership and people really bringing themselves forward. I've said for a long time, people are most inspired by other people over brands. And so one of the strategic challenges I've had with a lot of clients is they're like, oh, I don't want to promote myself because it looks like I'm just self-serving. And I said, no, you're not. Like, you're actually getting people to be inspired by you, which means your brand's going to have more credibility. And of course, there's a balance. There's a way to do it wrong, but when done right, it's really powerful. I think you and I can probably both, talk about people we follow, whether it's on LinkedIn or other media, where you really, you feel like you know them, they're relatable to you, and you become inspired, and it sparks ideas that you are able to take into your own practice in your own life. And so what I'm seeing is a lot more people understanding that and appreciating that. And it's become a really big opportunity for us to help people because, again, you might be the CEO of a company and you're excellent at what you do, but you don't know where to start on how to engage people, whether it's on LinkedIn or Reddit or, whatever channel you want to speak to people at.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. And it's, for myself, I grew up in a volunteer fire department. So when I was of age, that's what I did, and it was just kind of something that was like family oriented. So I never really put any thought into doing something for nothing like that, and even now, I have the role of my work, and then I like to share, with writing and things like that. And they're not things that contribute any money, but it's a way to give back and teach others, especially new. There's so much stuff that I know now that I wish somebody would have told me. You got to find out for yourself, and just to give a little bit back to the
I always say
industry.
if one person takes from what I have to say and it inspires them to do something, then I feel great.
Yeah. So, are there any like marketing channels right now that you think are like either underrated or overhyped?
Well, AI is definitely, it's both a challenge and an opportunity. People are asking me all the time, what's my position and am I worried? Is it going to, ruin my business? And I'm not worried at all. I think, like I said earlier on, I was around before the internet became a thing. And back then it was, oh, the internet, newspaper is dead, TV is dead. None of them are dead. They just changed. So I really believe the same thing is going to happen here. It is happening already, is some of these jobs are going to maybe evolve or change, but for the most part, it's become if used properly, it's a great tool. But I think, I'm sure you would agree with me, it's very obvious when something has been purely developed by AI. What AI cannot capture is human emotion and nuance and real life experience. And that's, again, the stuff that other people fall in love with and are inspired by.
Yeah, I share this a lot. I think a few times on some of the episodes. Being in this field of marketing every day on my timeline is all AI tools and new stuff coming out, and it's overcomplicated in a sense because you try one thing, the next day you're getting an ad for something else that does something different. But I agree with you. I think that I don't think marketing agencies or anything like that are going to go away. I think these are tools that can make you more efficient. Um, just the instance of talking about sharing across multiple channels, something like that. But you still need to have that experience on how to share that stuff, and I don't think you're going to get that.
Totally agree with you.
Oh, what role does storytelling play in a data-driven world?
Well, again, it's super important. That's the engagement factor, right? The data is you measure to help you make decisions, but it's the story that engages people. And especially as there's a continued proliferation of stories and channels, and it's become more and more overwhelming. In order to capture someone's attention and keep it, because capturing is only probably not even half the battle, it's less than half, because it's the long-term relationship that matters, is the storytelling has to be authentic and engaging, and give people a reason to stick around.
What's a piece of advice you would give somebody that may be thinking about starting their own marketing? Somebody coming out of school, or somebody's been working for another agency for a while. Like, what's one piece of advice you would give somebody that may be thinking about opening up their own agency?
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be two answers, because if someone was just coming out of school, I would say go work for one of the big agencies or big brands first, because I feel so strongly that's how I learned so much, not only about like branding and marketing. Like I said, I learned at Ogilvy, but also how to engage with clients and how to deal with a team. Like, it's not to say you can't just go right out of school and go out on your own, but you're not just going to have that real life experience that's so valuable. I think if you have some of that under your belt and you're ready to go out on your own, and I say this to all startup founders, even if it's not just an agency, is like, start with one thing and become really, really good at it before you build onto that. So, you want to start something, start it down one vertical. So, social media or email marketing or whatever it is that you're passionate about, to put out your shingle and say, I'm starting an agency and we're going to offer everything. Well, you're not going to have a lot of credibility, and you're just going to be trying to be all things to all people and probably be nothing to anybody.
What's your approach? And we're talking about all this marketing stuff, and we're all always coming up with these good ideas, but nobody really tells you what to do when it doesn't do well. What's your approach when a campaign flops?
Well, I mean, what we try to do, and it's not without its moments that it doesn't work, is we try to start small. So like putting tests into market. So, before going out and spending tons and tons of money on a big campaign, is like seed the market. Like, the great thing about a lot of, especially like paid social, all those things, is you can test. It's like doing a skin test patch before you put something all over your body. So we try to do that and build the budgets. Like, social is very easy. Email, it's also quite easy, because email, when you start, you typically don't have a large audience. So you can start, and you can start to see where people are clicking. Before you start spending tons of money on email acquisition, you want to get the product right.
How do you see Good Eggs evolving over the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, I really love our niche and where we're at. So, and I would never say never, because who knows what the next thing is going to be and whether we would get involved in that. But what's more important for me is to just take what we're doing and scale it. So be able to serve more clients, and test new things. Like, we get really excited when a client wants to try something even that we haven't done yet before, whether that's sort of a unique sponsored content piece or something like that. And we get to learn together, but we would just want to scale the types of clients that we're working with and be able to serve them.
Yeah. Are you specific to Canada, or are you also taking clients in the US?
Yeah, no, we have clients that are both in Canada and the US. And so been quite agnostic also, like in verticals. We work with probably about 50% B2B clients, 50% consumer facing clients. And I always like to say now that, given the state of the Canadian dollar, it's a bargain to work with us if you're American.
Any unwritten rules of content marketing that you live by?
Well, I think I've talked a lot about them, but they're worth reiterating, which is serve before you sell, give people something. Don't constantly be asking. And like we were saying before about like the, posting on social, like the chest thumping stuff. Of course there's a place for it, but if your whole feed is filled with that, you're going to lose in people's interest. And yeah, keep it engaging, and think about what the end user wants, not what you want. Of course, it has to map back to your business objectives, but if you're only serving yourself, then you're probably not going to achieve them.
Well, we're just coming up to the end of the show, and I wanted to give the viewers some time to, get a hold of you if they're looking to ask you some questions, if they're thinking about adding an agency, if they have a business. So why don't you just tell the viewers, your website, how they get a hold of you, anything you're working on,
So yeah, I would love to hear from you. You can find our website is at goodeggsandco.com. You can also find the company, but me on LinkedIn, which is Joanna Track. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you and talk more about content and what you're working on these days. And I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show, sharing your expertise. I think the viewers will, learn a lot from it. I sure did. We'll see you next time on Street Level Marketing. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Mark. It's been a pleasure.